Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, welcome back. Boys, I'm back. My voice is not 100%, but it is close to it. I'd say it's a good 90%. I couldn't even talk last week. Imagine that having to have no voice at a parent-teacher conference. It's god awful, man. Not fun. So I do apologize. This is a big week. We're gonna do waiver wire week recaps. We're gonna do some power rankings too. And of course, everybody's favorite matchups of the week. So I'm going to try to cram this in. As I am recording this, I just got home from work. It's about 4:39 p.m. on a Wednesday overcasty afternoon. So thank you guys for tuning in yet again. You guys make the world go round, I guess. I know you guys love this. Paul, I know you were upset because I didn't record this. It's back. Congratulations. Enjoy the day. Waiver wire recaps, and yours truly had the biggest what the fuck bid probably of the year. This is probably going to be up there with Quintez Cephas. This is probably going to be up there with Tromaine Pope for $65 one year where I emptied out all my fab. I haven't forgotten about that move. And then he got concussed after I picked them up. Yep, I remember these things. Mac Hollins, former Philadelphia Eagle bust, goes for $59 with, according to my desktop right now, the second highest bid was 10. Ouch. I think a lot of people in this league, you guys must know who Mac Hollins is, because I feel like if this was a random Joe Schmo, I feel like everybody would have been on the hype train. Mac Hollins going for $59 is absurd. I bit the bullet. Is this going to work out in the long term? Probably, most likely, absolutely not. Let me explain my thought process before I give out the grade, because I think a lot of you are wondering, wow, Nick just loves throwing money away, which is true. And this is my thought process. Believe it or not, and Harsh can vouch me on this, I did pick him up last week and started him in a dynasty league. Mac Hollins, here's my thought process. He sucked in Philadelphia, couldn't get anything going. He then, with all the injuries to the Miami receivers, was starting a few games for Miami last year and actually had 2 or 3 touchdowns, which nobody probably remembers because he was only doing it on maybe like 3 targets a game. Well, last week or 2 weeks ago, Mac Hollins had 9 targets, I believe. So that was a game against the Arizona Cardinals, which they have 8 targets, excuse me. He had 9 points. And then with Hunter Renfrow out, got a ridiculous 10 targets for 8 catches, 158 and a touchdown. And pretty much the coaches said, well, this guy's going to be one-on-one. Devontae Adams is double covered. They need somebody to step up. And they just kept going to him against a really subpar secondary. But let me give you my thought process on this Mac Hollins thing. Since the Raiders have gotten rid of Amari Cooper, so this is now going back 4 years ago, I think, they have been looking for the replacement, and they wanted a vertical guy who could go vertical down the field. They thought they had that in Henry Ruggs. The playbook last year, now I know it's a different coaching regime, Henry Ruggs was going to break out last year. Make no mistake about it. He was absolutely he was on my breakout list last year, and obviously him getting in trouble with the law, which is a sad story. We're not going to bring it back up, everything else. But this is my thought process here. Last year, they needed a vertical threat. It got so bad to the point where Zay Jones had to replace him because Brian Edwards was god-awful, still is awful. Zay Jones had a resurgence career with Derek Carr in that same role where Mac Hollins is playing in right now. So if Zay Jones can have a resurrected career, I feel like Mac Hollins can do the same thing. But here's what else I'm also more enthralled with the Mac Hollins usage. Yes, a lot of people aren't buying it because the fantasy sheep, I know I sound like fantasy football counselor here. They're going to probably tell you this. Hunter Renfrow was out. That's why he got all those targets. Hunter Renfrow is not an outside receiver. He's an inside receiver. I flat out, and B Magic can vouch me on this too. I didn't like Darren Waller this year because when Renfro is there, they cancel each other out. They are not that great when they're on the field together. When they are separated, when one is out, the other thrives off of it because they operate the middle of the field. Devontae Adams does everything else, and guess what? Mac Hollins is on the outside. He is the one guy who's going to play in 2 wide receiver sets. It's not going to be Hunter Renfro, and he's going to be out there in 3 wide receiver sets. This guy has looked good in 2 games in a row. Okay, so I'm not saying because Hunter Renfro's there, he's going to go away. Absolutely not. The targets are the only thing that I think might not be 10 a week, obviously. That's ridiculous. But here's the icing on the cake. The Raiders with Josh McDaniels clearly had a game plan this year, and they wanted somebody vertical down the field. So they went out and signed Demarcus Robinson, who to me is nothing to write home about. Matt Collins was pretty much just a tryout practice squad guy. Come preseason, Demarcus Robinson gets cut. Why? Because they like what they saw in Mac Hollins. Let's not also forget that Davante Adams is not the healthiest guy in the world when it comes to football injuries. I am a very big Mac Hollins optimistic. Do I think he's a league winner? Probably not. I do think that Mac Hollins does fall in the tier of Marcus Wheaton, Travis Fulgham type pickups where they have a flash in the pan, maybe 2 and 3 weeks. I think it's more likely that path, but something tells me that this guy is going to be part of the game plan because if Zay Jones had a resurrected career with Derek Carr last year in the month of December, he was not bad. Checked out the numbers. I believe that Mac Hollins can also do that. The guy's 6'4". Maybe they're finally realizing that they can have a role for this guy finally. I just I can't imagine that this guy hits over 150 yards and they say, "You know what? We're not going to give this guy the ball anymore because we don't need to." I'm banking on something that is probably not going to happen because the B Magic low ball offer was 10. Second offer was $10 and nobody else had threw anything on it. I am going to have to give this one a D though, only because it's a lot of money for a guy who's a 4-year journeyman now in the league. But I'm being optimistic here. I am not going to flat out say a B. Does it have upside to hit? Yes. The likely outcome of it, probably not. But I am just giving you my thought process on why I threw the $59 out there. Okay. The next bid that went in, the highest bid of the day, was Craig Reynolds for $17. Rob Coffey was, wow, 16. I beat him by $1. This was insurance because of DeAndre Swift and DeAndre Swift only. We don't know what DeAndre Swift's health. When they say week to week, and I know their bye week is in 3 weeks, which is a good thing, but God forbid this thing lingers on. Craig Reynolds is going to get some run. Jamal Williams is awesome, and I think he could be a league winner guy. But make no mistake about it, Craig Reynolds will have a role in this offense when DeAndre Swift is not in there. And he won out the job in Hard Knocks. So that is emergency insurance right there. The Craig Reynolds pickup, I'm actually going to give, because it's the guy who has the Swift, I'm going to give it a solid B. Zay Jones going for $12. When you look at Zay Jones and Mac Hollins, these guys are pretty much the same tier. Patrick spent a lot less, and because of that comparison, he only dropped DeAndre Carter for him. This is an A plus. I absolutely love this claim. I actually had Zay Jones was my backup. I thought for sure Harsh or somebody else was going to have the Mac Hollins hype train for a lot of money, but because of that, I purposely thought, okay, if I'm going in, Zay Jones is probably. I spent $26 if I wasn't going to get Mac Hollins, and you got him for a lot less. I don't know what everybody else is doing, but they are sleeping. Patrick, you're getting very lucky with Greg Dortch and the Zay Jones pickups. I think the Zay Jones pickup is right up there with Curtis Samuel. That might be one of the 2 best pickups so far. If I'm missing something, please somebody throw it out. Denver's D goes for $7. New Orleans D, I don't know. It doesn't show up on my fab offers, so I don't know if anybody else had that. Coffey, $5 against the Jets. He's got Pittsburgh D. I was the lowest offer or lower offer at $4. Rob Coffey yet again. Rob Tunyon for $3, dropping Evan Ingram. Cleveland defense goes for $2, riding Henry against Atlanta. I don't know if I like that pickup, Patrick. Oh, I'm sorry. Rob Coffey, you get a B- because Zach Wilson can make plays, buddy. Denver's D, C. C+. Riding Henry. Cleveland defense, $2. I'm going to give it an F. Dude, you're sleeping on your boy Mariota. This Atlanta offense is low-key nice. Return of the King, David Sutton. Love Josh Reynolds pickup. Love that pickup a lot. We don't know about Amon-Ra St. Brown's health long term. And I'm sorry, Johnny, you can cut DJ Chark. I loved DJ Chark, and this guy's hype. But I told Harsh, vouch for me. At the beach, I asked if Josh Reynolds was still retained. He is. He's the guy who has the most chemistry with Jared Goff. David Sutton, for $1 that you spent on Josh Reynolds, I think this comes close to Zay Jones. I'm going to give it a B+. I actually do think that you can actually start this guy. The fact of the matter is this. With DeAndre Swift hurt and Amon-Ra St. Brown coming off of injury, there might be some opportunities in the film room for them to exploit the Seahawks corners and hit him over the top with some Mr. Josh Reynolds. David, I honestly would, and you're going to hear on the power ranking segment, you might have to start him. Other pickups that were made. Somebody please tell me how nobody bid on David Njoku. Are we out of our minds here? Coffee, I think this is the best pickup. This is a solid A+. You spent no money on David Njoku, and I do think, yes, Njoku does this time and time again. He has 2 games a year where he actually is getting more than 40 yards and a touchdown. He's not just relying on 30 yards and a cloud and maybe like a coin flip touchdown. That's an A+. But Lower Nazareth football team, Alex Matica, Justice Hill, excuse me. An Alan Williams throwback from the day. I like this pickup a lot too. I'm not sold on J.K. Dobbins being 100% healthy. And last year, the Ravens were so desperate that they had to bring back Latavius Murray and Devonta Freeman, who were both washed, and they were actually somehow fantasy relevant. Justice Hill is still young. Justice Hill might be fantasy relevant. I'm actually going to give this one a solid B+. And then Minnesota picked up for Cleveland, Patrick Henry. Ryan Henry, sorry. I love that move a lot too because Jameis Winston is a turnover machine, and you must have just listened to what I just said about the Cleveland defense. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, you know what this is. It's now time for power rankings. Hopefully, you enjoyed the waiver wire recap. If you want, I think the riskiest move was spending $59 on Mac Hollins. It is what it is. But on top of that, Justice Hill, my other favorite pickups, Josh Reynolds, Njoku, and Justice Hill because they didn't spend anything. That recaps it. Well done for those of you that got crap for cheap. And those of you who spent $59 on Mac Hollins, pray to God. Week 3, every 3 weeks, we know what this is about. I think this is a segment that everybody gets extremely hyped for, and I'm not gonna let you guys down. Yep, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna let you guys down because I'm here for the content. You guys are here for the content. If you have a long commute to work, you're in luck. If you have nothing to do over the weekend, you're in luck because I'm gonna break down a lot of things and how I see it. We are now going into power rankings. This is what I firmly believe. The way I'm going to call power rankings is how the team is currently performing versus what I think is going to happen long term. So it's not just what the standings say. I'm going to try to break it down best as I can. We are going to start with the bottom 6, though. And then each and every other team, I'm going to give them a separate segment, and then we'll go right into matchups. So, bottom 6. My least favorite team and the team that I am concerned about the most is Patrick, Ryden Henry. Your season was on the line, and CeeDee Lamb just killed it. Seems like Alex gets the best of you on these Monday night matchups. This team I do not have a lot of faith in. When I look at the team, Patrick, I don't know if you're watching the game. I know you love Derrick Henry, but this guy looks like he's about to collapse at any moment when he's running the ball. And it's a shame, but it's what happens when you have so many carries each and every single week. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Joe Burrow's been a little bit of a disappointment as well. DK Metcalf, everybody was off of him because no Russell Wilson, and he's had some tough matchups. The Atlanta Falcons matchup, he was successful in, but this is a tough one against the Detroit Lions coming up. Mike Evans, I think, will be fine. Patrick, when I look at your team, Burrow, Mike Evans, Romeo Dobbs, and maybe Ezekiel Elliott. Those are the only players I feel confident in going forward. Where you went wrong here and what's really killing your team is, and it's not just you, anybody who took a running back early is in a lot of trouble. Juju Smith-Schuster is looking like the guy he was in Pittsburgh without Antonio Brown, which is essentially an 8 to 10 point guy a week, and that's about it. That's not going to cut it in today's day and age. Rashad Penny, the Seahawks don't run the ball enough. I think Rashad Penny is a great running back. They're not running the ball enough, and that's bad. You're going to need all the help you can get. So I like how you're active on the wire. Best case scenario for you, you need Robert Woods to do what he did last week every week, but I'm not buying that at all, bro. Patrick, I think you need a lot to happen. You're 0-3. I do respect how you're grinding the waiver wire, and you're not even spending that much. And I like Greg Dortch, and I like Zay Jones, so maybe these are guys you have to start from now on. So, Patrick, you come in at number 12. Coming in at number 11, to nobody's surprise, and a lot of people are probably even more shocked why I don't have him at 12, which I'll explain, Alan Williams. Now, you might be thinking, why is Allen not at 12? And some of you might say, oh, it's because he has a win. That's not the reason why. Even if Allen was 0-3, I'd still have him over Patrick. And here's my, and it's more of the long-term outcome. Allen, you drafted a terrible team, but there are literally 2 players. If you were to ask me who is 1 or 2 players I wish I had drafted this year, and believe it or not, they're both on your team, and that's Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. So I'm giving you a lot of props there because I think these guys might even finish the end of the season as low-end wide receiver 1s, high-end wide receiver 2s. And next season, both of these guys are going to get drafted in the 3rd and 2nd round, respectfully, unless they get hurt. I'm knocking on wood as I said that. Anyway, there is a lot of upside with Wilson and Olave and Jamar Chase and to an extent Devonta Smith. So yeah, I'm flat out going to tell you right now, the receivers that you took somehow and you waited on receiver this year, you knew what to do. Allen, if there's one thing I will always not knock you for doing, and that's drafting receiver. You know how to pick receivers. And this has always been your calling card ever since we've been in the league. And because of that, I just named 4 players I liked. There's only 3 that I like from Patrick's team. On top of that, where everything has gone wrong, it's the running backs. If you would have taken any other, well, running backs have been bad this year, so I can't even fault you for that. But David Montgomery was the obvious fade. Josh Jacobs was an obvious fade. I mean, no one was taking these guys, and somehow you did. And now you got the Jets backs, and I don't like this. Now, I think you need to start one. I know you're starting both right now as I'm looking at your squad. Zach Wilson likes to extend plays. He's going to run all over the field. He's not going to dump it off as often as I think he will. Brees Hall, I think, is eventually going to be the starter. Michael Carter, yeah, he's good, but he's a change of pace guy. He's not a starting running back. Um, I there's a reason why you're at the number 11 spot. Coming in at power ranking number 10 is probably one of the most controversial rankings I'm going to have on this list. My number 10 team is also a team with currently a winning record at 2-1. David Sutton is on my team for number 10, and this has to do with lack of production and injuries. I want to start with the positives on this team, and then I'm going to start with the negatives. Positives. Marquise Brown is finally getting a lot of chemistry with what's his name, Kyler Murray. He had 17 targets. Jesus, bro, that's like Devontae Adams territory. That's not going to happen every week. But the lowest amount of targets he's gotten was 6, and it was week 1. They haven't really played a lot together. Even if Hopkins comes back, this guy is going to be a stud. The best thing about Marquise Brown is that he's not just getting the deep targets, he's getting intermediate. They're treating him like a wide receiver 1. Do I think he's a real life wide receiver 1? No, but he is getting that workload, so you could definitely have that. The other players that I like, though, I'm going down this list right now, and I'm really trying to be as positive as I can. The only thing that I will say that I really like is Christian McCaffrey because he's still healthy. That's it. The other guy I loved that you took was Gabe Davis. Here's my issue: the ankle injury. I don't know how severe it is, but it's clearly affecting his play because he was a decoy last week. If Gabe Davis went on the pup, wouldn't surprise me. And I think long term, that's the best for his outcome. I think it was because it was a divisional matchup and the Dolphins. I mean, the Bills are seeing how hyped the Dolphins are, this, that, and the other. But there's a lot of stuff I don't like, which we'll get to. I love the Trey Lance Ayuk stack and the potential that could bring. Trey Lance is now gone, and you still have Brandon Ayuk, but you have Matt Stafford, who's kind of a meh fantasy quarterback at this stage in his career. A lot of negatives. Dallas Goedert is okay, but like he is third in the pecking order in targets in Philly. Miles Sanders, no, thank you. Anytime this guy has a touchdown, you need to just get him off your team. Even if they ask for Kenny Gainwell, I think I would do it too because Boston Scott is the handcuff, or he's going to get some run, not necessarily the handcuff. Alvin Kamara has looked awful. Like there's a lot of stuff to be concerned about on this team, and not to mention the fact, as much as I don't like Jerry Jeudy, I like him a lot more than Darnell freaking Mooney. And that trade you clearly lost. I don't think you can start anybody on the Saints. I hate to say it. I think Josh Reynolds might be one of you, is going to have to start over one of your guys at this point in the stage. I don't like the long term outcome on this team. Christian McCaffrey is getting all the carries, but production has been down. He's not scoring any touchdowns. 10, 15 rushes. He had 25 rushes. The Saints D is stout against the run. I get that. But like they're not even scheming up plays for him in the passing game either. I think the workload is there. Something tells me maybe he's not running with as much as authority. I haven't watched any Panthers highlights because they make me want to puke because I had DJ Moore. I'm very concerned with this team moving forward. That's why I have them at number 10. Well, we're going to continue to move forward, and I'm going based on gut feeling. Yep, you heard me. I'm going based on gut feeling. This is another controversial one. Coming in at number 9 is Paul. I'm going to tell you why. Because there's one team out there that a lot of people are wondering, how does this team higher than David and Paul? And I'll get to that. Paul, you're at number 9 for me because, first and foremost, I owe you a big Christmas card this year. Thank you for Drake London. I needed DJ Moore off of my team. We'll start with the negative. He's one of them, and then I'll get to positives. I just, as soon as I watched week 2 and I saw that he was only getting 6 targets, the workload is not going to be there. And then I think of Baker Mayfield with Odell Beckham. This guy cannot make a wide receiver one when it's established. When he doesn't have a receiver, then he's calm and he just spreads the ball around and looks halfway decent. Not the case. There's a lot of guys who have not lived up to expectations on this team. Jonathan Taylor is one of them, and now he's dealing with an injury. I do think he should. I emphasize the word should, but I mean, this is looking like rookie year Jonathan Taylor in the beginning of the season. Like he's just the Colts suck. I don't know what else to tell you. My panic level with him is at a 5. I don't think it's anything higher than that. Kareem Hunt, other than week 1, he's been a guy you really can't like. He's a backup. He is a rotational backup. Kareem Hunt is no different than Melvin Gordon, and you have both of them. Travis Kelce, also, other than week 1, hasn't looked that great. Deebo Samuel, I think, will be fine long term. But you're also having Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson is still the guy getting the bulk of the carries because Shanahan trusts the guy. But unless the 49ers smack a team right across the face, I don't know if there's a world where Jeff Wilson and Deebo Samuel both combine for like 40 points a week. Terry McLaurin has been doing just enough to get by. Paul, the reason why I am not liking this outcome is because I don't see any big, wow, that guy can take you places. That's a league winner. The only one that I can say confidently that I think has a lot of upside to win you a game a week is Deebo Samuel. Obviously, a healthy Jonathan Taylor. The thing that will make this team a little bit better, okay, Keenan Allen and when Tom Brady gets his receivers back. If that happens, I'm for sure knowing that Kareem Hunt won't be in the starting lineup. At least I hope. And Keenan Allen will go to that lax flex spot where you move Jeff Wilson into the RB spot. But again, I think you're going to have a headache. It's up to you, Paul. Can you manage your way into some successful wins? Because you're going to have to manage Tyler Boyd, DJ Moore. I think you can cut MVS at this point. And I mean, I guess Corey Davis. We'll see how he does with Zach Wilson. But it's a big management decision. Long-term wise, man, there's a lot of guys I'm concerned about on this team. That's why I have you at number 9. Coming in at number 8. This is a shocker because I have it ranked very high. Harsh. Point blank, he has the most running back depth out of any team. And the running backs that he drafted, I didn't like, but at least half of them are starting to get healthier now. So I think it's just only a matter of time until the coaches trust him with a full workload. You might say to yourself, how is a 1-2 team ranked higher than a 2-1 team and another team that has put up more points than this team? There's a lot I like about this team. In fact, out of the bottom 7 teams, long-term outlook, and I get it. Somebody are saying you're pandering to the crowd, Nick, because you're the hype guy and you and Harsh like the same players. That's incorrect for this. There's a lot of players I did not like that he drafted this year. But of course there are some players that I do like. Let's start with the positives. You drop $70 on Tua. When Miami is in a shootout type of scenario, I think they got what it takes to go the distance. As long as they have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle healthy, he can put up in a shootout. But you also got Kirk Cousins as a solid backup. Spoiler alert, you can cut Russell Wilson. I'm pretty sure if you cut him, nobody's going to pick him up. I don't want anything to do with him. Last year, I learned my lesson. Thank God I did not invest in the Denver Broncos, other than the defense, I guess. Let's start with the things that I like about this team. There's a lot. Courtland Sutton will finish as a low-end wide receiver 1. We talked about this. This was so obvious. This was going to be his target. James Robinson has proven the doubters wrong. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how he's doing it, but this might be one of the best picks of the draft. Javonte Williams, I am very concerned about. I did not expect a split. I expected him to take over. Khalil Herbert, well, if David Montgomery is out, this guy is so much better than David Montgomery. The Bears need to realize this. I don't know if they are because they have a boomer for a head coach. Tony Pollard, again, when Zeke is on the field, his upside is limited because they're not going to give him the full workload. But I think Dallas is just going to run Zeke into the ground this year because they're not going to renew his contract. Therefore, Tony Pollard could probably be the future next year. And I love Kyle Pitts. Bench wise, if Cam Akers, okay, he's not dead. He showed a lot of life last week. My concern is this Rams offensive line looks like garbage. So even if Akers is starting to look healthy, he needs that full workload. And we saw last week. Oh, I'm sorry. 12 attempts for 60 yards. Not bad. Other things that I like about this team. Pacheco might get some run early if Clyde Edwards-Helaire continues to look crap on the ground. Now let's go with the negatives. Brandon Cooks, I hate to use the W word, but washed is coming up. I don't think he looks bad in real life, but why were people hyping this guy up? I just don't see it. I don't get why this guy was getting hyped up. He's been around forever, and he has Davis Mills throwing him the ball. Yeah, I know he's gonna get targets, but you're drafting a guy on a boring offense, dude. Miss me with that shit. What I'm worried about right now is there's no wide receiver 2. And there's a lot of teams in this league that have a formidable passing attack with a lot of wide receivers. I am worried about the wide receiver 2 position. And other things that I don't like, Antonio Gibson, harsh. I tried to defend it. He had 3 weeks to wow the coaching staff to get a grip on that starting job. He lost it. Brian Robinson's season is going to happen. And I'm not just saying that because I have Brian Robinson. He's looked awful on the ground. Antonio Gibson needs to be a third down back. Unfortunately, I think that's all he is at this point. J.K. Dobbins, look, you can't hit on all these guys with fucking Achilles injuries. Dobbins looked horrible last week. It's bad enough they got to go Justice Hill. The guys that you're relying on, Richie James and Wan'Dale Robinson, bro, the Giants' passing attack is booty. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the biggest Achilles heel, and I'm not even going to mention Gus Edwards because I have no idea when this guy's coming back. The biggest Achilles heel for this team right now is flex 2 and wide receiver 2. I think flex 2 is reliant on their management, and they need to find a wide receiver 2. Other than that, I think long-term outcome, I think the floor is better than the Paul team and the David team, which is why I have this team that high. And the last team coming in at number 7, but I'm going to emphasize the word but a team that has a lot of good, interesting pieces that I think if there's one team who can move out of the bottom 6 and in to the top 6, this is the one. David Krier's team, dumb, get hooked on Stephonics. There are a lot of things I like. David, we talked at the draft. You sniped me on a lot of picks, and the picks that I passed up on, you took the guy I was going to take as my plan B. Things I love, Stephon Diggs might finish as a top 3 wide receiver this year. In fact, I think he is already a top 3 wide receiver. He might be number 1. I have no idea who it is, but I'm pretty sure this guy is out to have an amazing season because he is just that amazing. I love Stephon Diggs. Other things I like about this team, Mark freaking Andrews, dude. Holy crap. I saw a tweet today, and it said, I feel like if you didn't draft Lamar Jackson or Mark Andrews, you're not winning fantasy football this year. And that could be very true. Sorry, I got something in my eye, and it's bothering me. The way I see this, those two picks alone are going to finish top 2 in their positions. Like they have that upside. Yeah, dude, I love both those players, man. Justin Herbert, I was big on. We have to see how severe this is going because same old story with the Chargers, man. They just get hit with the injury bug, and I don't know. I feel for the kid, man, because I think he's extremely talented. But it's like you got drafted to the Chargers. Guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna get hurt. I mean, it's just a shame. It is a damn shame. And everything else I think is just very. They're not picks I like, but they're not picks I hate. Like Deontay Johnson is a floor pick. Like what Deontay Johnson is doing is what I thought DJ Moore would be, 9, 10, 12. So I think he's literally like this year's DJ Moore. He's just gonna get 10 to 12 every week. Um, Joe Mixon, he's been a disappointment, but I think he's gonna get the bulk of the carries. James Conner, you gotta check his injury stats because this is a guy who has a severe injury history. Um, Darrell Henderson, if anything is to happen to what's his face, Cam Akers, Henderson, we saw what he does when he's the workhorse, man. He's not bad. Damian Harris, I mean, definition of touchdown or nothing, right? Yep. And Ramondre Stevenson looked really good, so I don't like his thing long term. Bench wise, the most interesting guys I can think of, I'm not buying Devontae Parker because I did think that was only because Jacoby Myers was out. Russell Gage is intriguing because I don't know how long Godwin's going to be out for, um, but he is an intriguing guy. And yep, the Stephon Diggs pick and the Mark Andrews pick really, really make me confident in this team, though. I think that they're the one out of everybody who's in the bottom 6 to make it out of the bottom into the top. Congratulations, Mr. Krier. That caps bottom 6. All right, coming in at number 6. This is the only team in the top 6 with a losing record. This was a team that a lot of people were hyped up after the draft. This is a team that I do think that 2 teams went 0 RB kind of in a way, and this team is one of them. They are sitting at 1 and 2, but they have put up a lot of points this season, and I think they've run into some bad luck last week, but they are going to bounce back strong. This to me is still one of the scariest teams in the league. That is Andre Jones. I'm putting respect on the talent of this team, and so is the projections. They still have him in the 120s. Scoring, as we all know, has been down this year. So we are not going to get that 130 that we always hope to, Tuesday morning when you look at the original projections. You see that 130, man, you're going into work, you're feeling good, you got a coffee in your hand, you're saying hi to the people you don't even know at work. Like, you are in a great mood. Andre Jones, my friend, I think you should be in a good mood. I think you do not push the panic button. This is a team, this reminds me of one year I started 1 and 2 with a great team. I love this team still. I'm putting respect on it. If it was up to me, Andre, I'd still have you in the top 3, but I can't with a 1 and 2 record. But I'm gonna show you respect. You deserve to be in my power ranking. You've had a lot of things that have not gone your way. For example, Cooper Kupp last week, he only got you 14 points. I mean, what the hell is that? We expect a lot more out of it. Let's start with the positives. Dude, this is like I said, I thought Allen drafted your team. This is a great, great start. AJ Dillon on the injury report. He'll be all right. Almost got excited there. Just kidding. Knock on wood. I love AJ Dillon because I have him in another league too. But let's talk the roster construction, dude. Kupp, Adams, Hill. They can finish as wide receiver ones easily, easily, easily. On top of that, you're going the 4 wide receiver set. Tyler Lockett has looked very sharp with Geno Smith. Tyler Lockett is just a good wide receiver, man. Tyler Lockett is essentially Deontay Johnson, except you got him in round 8. Right? Or 9. I don't remember what you got him. He was a great value, man. I mean, the hindsight thing is, oh, well, we knew he was a good receiver. Like, I loved Russ to Lockett might be my favorite receiver to quarterback to receiver connection of all time. Like, it was so efficient. I loved watching them together. Problem is, I don't know if Geno knows how to scheme them up like Russ does, but bottom line is this, man. Defenses are keying in a lot on DK Metcalf, and he's feasting on it. And this week, by the way, spoiler alert with matchups, I think he goes off. Kyler Murray, I want to talk about him because I do like him, but I don't love him. Murray is not rushing as much as he used to in the past. And I think that's really killing his value. When I had Murray his breakout year, it was essentially Lamar Jackson with an arm. And now he's toned down the passing numbers a bit. So I'm keeping an eye on it because I don't think you have a lot of 30-point performances. I think he's like mid-20s now because that rushing upside is very limited. Now with the stacked receivers, you got some running backs. AJ Dillon, it's touchdown or bust when Aaron Jones is on the field, so you're going to live with that. Chase Edmonds has been awful. I don't like him. I was big on him, and now I'm seeing how they're using him. He's not a very good running back. He's a great third down. Like, they need to use him in the passing game, not the rushing game. I mean, I wanted this guy to be a thing in Arizona, and it just never happened. He's a rotational back. But you got to start somebody, and he's a starter. Your bench. There's a lot to like on the bench, too, dude. Zach Ertz, Rex Burkhead, Ramondre Stevenson, finally. He looked the part against Baltimore. My only concern is he's going to be very hard to trust when Damian Harris is healthy. And if Ty Montgomery comes back, I think Ty Montgomery takes care of the pass catching work. Jahan Dotson, I think eventually will be your last flex by season's end. This is a guy that if Allen wants him, I'd rip off Allen in a heartbeat, by the way. Irv Smith, not big on that. DeAndre Hopkins. If this guy comes back, dude, you have potentially 4 wide receiver ones, and all the running backs got to do is 8 to 10. Zamir White, I mean, what are you really getting out of Zamir White? He's the Josh Jacobs handcuff, but like the Raiders' offense is running wise is not something I want to invest in. Eli Mitchell, we'll see if he can come back. And then you got your boyfriend, Dak Prescott. Andre, you are 1-2, but I think I haven't even looked at matchups yet. I think you can take on anybody with this team. I know you didn't break 100 last week, but that's the first time. And I think everybody hits a roadblock down the road somewhere. Unfortunately, yours was last week. I am not concerned about this team long term. I think this team will make the playoffs. The only thing, though, and Andre, you better pray to the fantasy gods, you have the harsh curse after the draft. That is a real thing. And you have the Kyler Murray curse. I know you're not in the fantasy Facebook Messenger chat, but ever since Kyler Murray has gone into the or has been in the National Football League, the fantasy teams who have drafted him have either finished last place or they have retired. Matt Morris was the one who retired. So I'm just saying there's a Kyler Murray curse going on. I'll end it at that. Coming in at number 5, I think we're gonna do the same thing that we talked about, ladies and gentlemen. This is a tough one. This is a very, very tough one because it's between two teams, but I'm gonna go with my gut instinct here. I'm gonna put Robert Coffey at number 5, currently ranked number 5. There's a lot to love about this team. There's a lot to love, not a lot to hate. This is why he is in my top 5. He has a 2-1 record. His roster is just like Andre's in a bit. I do think Andre's receivers are better, but Andre also has a losing record for right now. Mr. Robert Coffey, there's a lot to love here, baby. Justin Jefferson will be just fine. I'm pretty sure people have hit up your inbox for a trade. Jalen Waddle, you were right about that. I told you on the phone you were right. Amon-Ra St. Brown might be the best pick possible, dude. Holy crap. Hopefully he stays healthy. Allen Robinson, I'm not big on, though. I know, Rob. He looks open. I don't know if the Rams are ever going to figure him out. And then you have Godwin on the bench. So that's your plan B. The bench I am not big on, though. I don't like James Cook. I don't like Tunyon. Kadarius Toney. I mean, really, what are you getting from Toney? We'll see if he can ever stay healthy or get his shit together. Your defense is good, though. Niners D is good for 15 a week. Travis Etienne, I think, is the best buy low that anybody can have because everybody wants to love James Robinson. But this guy is being used all over the field. I mean, it's fun how Jags offense is low-key really entertaining to watch. And I know you were big on that. And of course, you got Patrick Mahomes. Running backs are going to be hard to come by in fantasy, and I get that. So you got to either manage the wire, which you do know how to do because you had Elijah Mitchell last year, you idiot. And then, yeah, there's some other stuff too, man. I mean, you could always trade with others, aka Harsh, but he's probably going to only want Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he'll probably only offer you Antonio Gibson. So it's hard to win without running backs in fantasy football because this team reminds me of when I had 4 wide receivers and Chase Edmonds, and I didn't have a running back too. So I think, man, you might have to play flavor of the week at running backs and see how long you can get away with that. But I think there's a lot of upside here, which is why I have Roberto Coffey and number 5. Coming in at number 4 is a team that is 2-1 and was handed their first loss of the season. There are, I think, from a bench and a depth perspective, I think this team is deep at receiver. I think this team is deep, deep-ish at running back. But this team has made some questionable decisions early on. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about myself. The Nick DeFroja team lands in at number 4. We had an outburst week 2, but we've only gotten 100 and something in week 1 and week 3. Here's the catch. If DeAndre Swift isn't limited in week 3, I do think that this team breaks over 120 points. Therefore, I think that the floor is already established pretty well with this team. I think the floor is between 110 to 120. Further evidence is going to need to confirm more if it's more the 120 range. There's a lot of upside here, and there was a great trade that was in place. Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson are going to finish 1 and 2 at the quarterback position. You can book that already. Drake London and Christian Kirk they look like the wide receiver 1 treatment. Rashad Bateman, I still think can break out. Mike Williams, when he hits, he's awesome. When he doesn't, you forget that he even exists. DeAndre Swift is down, but we have Jamal Williams, and what we know is that Jamal Williams, even with Swift on the field, is a great, great running back. And then we have my man Aaron Jones, who is literally, he's going to be just fine. He didn't get the workload week 1. Week 2, he went off for 30 plus. What happened week 3, ladies and gentlemen? Nothing again. But I think AJ Aaron Jones will be just fine. That's what I got to say, ladies and gentlemen. The starting roster looks very solid. Starting roster does look solid. I must say. The bench, it's full of lottery tickets and guys you can plug and play. Curtis Samuel and Matt Collins is to be determined. Elijah Moore has been the bust so far. I was very big on him. Again, this is why we don't get hyped up for Jets players being a Jets fan. Nick, you should have known by now. George Pickens, I still think once Kenny Pickett is in, he's going to be a guy I could start in my lineup. I'm not dropping him. I love George Pickens. There's a lot I like about this team. The X factors, man, I think what it all comes down to for this team to go even further is they're going to need more consistent play out of one receiver, and that's either Mike Williams or Rashad Bateman. I think if they can be more consistent, I like where this team is headed. This team's definitely got playoff aspirations on its mind. They're going to need a healthy Swift, though, because I do think that Jamal Williams won't have a lot of 20-point games. Swift is able to do that, though. Ladies, gentlemen, once again, Nick DeFroja at number 4. All right. I am going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Okay. I really wanted to put myself at 3. For now, I'm going to put you at 3 because you haven't lost officially, have not lost your first round pick yet. I lost mine. That's what it came down to. Number 3 is Jonathan, who is currently ranked at number 3. Let me go through the thought process on this. There's stuff I like about this team. There's a management move he made that might have saved his season. And then there's other things that I don't know what to think about of this team. They have a winning record. They have the MVP in real life in Lamar Jackson. So that's a good start. Lamar Jackson has literally given you over 40 points the last 2 weeks, and it might happen again because the Bills shootout. Lamar is carrying this team, and the best part about the Ravens is they can't run the ball. Lamar Jackson's floor might be 30 this year. That is absolutely insane. Great pick. Great pick, Johnny. All right, let's talk about it. We got a lot to talk about now. Lamar, I like him. I do. I wanted a piece of the Ravens passing attack this year. I definitely wanted a piece of that. The running backs, Leonard Fournette and Saquon Barkley, are going to be just fine. Barkley, man, you better be doing Hail Marys every single Sunday because he looks awesome. He needs to stay healthy. This is like rookie year Saquon Barkley usage, man. He's gotten double digits every single week. The guy is a stud. You should have taken him. Leonard Fournette's going to be fine too. He's getting the workload. I know he's injury prone as well. But if you ask me who do I like better this year, Leonard Fournette or Kamara, after week 1, that answer was decided. Little fat Lenny. Well, a guy I never want on my team, Dalvin Cook. What do we know? The shoulder injury. Safe to say, this guy's out, but I think this thing is starting to linger. And you know what's even worse, though? He hasn't even been that good when he's healthy this year. This is a guy I am concerned about, even if he's healthy. Straight up. I think Barkley and Fournette are fine. Cook, look, you will never have the cojones to do this. I would trade him for a receiver. Straight up. I'd do that. So the running backs look good. The receivers, on the other hand, I am not big on. There are some I do like. Okay. Michael Thomas. Well, the guy that you gonna. He bailed you out the first 2 weeks with touchdowns, but they're not using him like Drew Brees era Michael Thomas. They're using him like on the side of the field, this, that, and the other. I am concerned long term for Michael Thomas. Shocker with that one. I know that's what you just said to yourself. Jerry Jeudy, better than Darnell Mooney. I know 18 points. What, dude? He got hurt and taken out of the game in Houston. I'm not counting that game, but then he only got 2 points against San Fran. Who else? Look at it this way. I told you Sutton was the alpha. You knew that. That's obviously confirmation bias. You'll agree with that. Albert Akui-Bunum sucks. I look. I bid on the hype on that because it's a tight end. I don't care. I'll find somebody, and I did. But they have nobody else to throw to. It can't be Russ to Sutton every week. Jeudy, as much as I don't like him, he's going to have to step up, and he almost caught a touchdown last week. I hate to say it, John. Oh my God, I sound like talking to your dad now. Holy crap, that was embarrassing. I'm sorry. Give me a minute to compose myself. I don't think in all the years that I've known you, I've never referred to you as John. What the hell did I just do? I'm sorry. Um, Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy. This is not a good thing. I think he's your best receiver. Michael Thomas, I don't injury and everything else I don't trust. Alan Lazard, I mean, no. Isaiah McKenzie, though, that $31 paid off last week, didn't it, buddy? And in a shootout against who, baby? Baltimore, who gives up a lot of passing yards. Do we have any upside on the bench? Yeah, you need Dalvin Cook healthy, and I'm worried about this guy long term, Jay. I think you need to trade him. That's my recommendation. If you really want me to, if you can flip him for a receiver, Like, I think Andre Jones would be a guy I'd contact if Dalvin the minute he comes back and scores a touchdown. And by the way, the Vikings don't run the ball at all anymore, so I'm really concerned about Dalvin Cook. DJ Chark, this is a guy who should be cut very, very soon. Jarvis Landry, I was big on him, but he's hurt now. Michael Gallup, I mean, if Dak comes back in time, fine. And by the way, how are you able to? Oh, you can't pick up people because you have Hilliard in your IRs. Oh wow. Well, here we'll make it easy for you. You either cut Dontrell Hilliard, as much as I love the guy, or you cut Schultz. No, you can't cut Schultz because Dak might come back. DJ Chark, I guess, or I don't know. Yeah, I'd cut Chark. I know he scored in week 1, but I told on David picked up Josh Reynolds. Like Josh Reynolds might have overtaken him as the deep threat guy. Jay, that's my philosophy. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt because you haven't officially lost Dalvin Cook yet. I lost Swift, but I would not be at all shocked if the tides turned a little bit in the power rankings. Who is the number 2 power ranked team of the fantasy football season? It is none other than the man who has not lost a game yet. That is Alex Matica or Matika. I only say Matica because that's how Johnny pronounces it, and I think it's hilarious. Alex Matika, welcome to the top 6. You are my number 2 team. I gotta say, hell of a job on the draft. Um, but we are going to talk about one pain in the ass guy that you have on the team, which I can't wait to dig into. But there's a lot to like about this team. Josh Allen, for one, he's going to finish as a top 3 quarterback this year. A.J. Brown, he looks awesome. And CeeDee Lamb, I think, is going to be just fine when Dak comes back. I don't know if he's a number 2. Like, CeeDee Lamb, I think, might be he's more closer to, like, the DJ Moore tier of receivers. Like, not this year, obviously, but, like, that possession guy who just he gets, like, 8 for 80 a week and maybe a touchdown. I think he's closer to that than he is thinking of other stuff. But I think he's closer to that range than, like Devontae Adams tier. I'm just throwing stuff out there. But I think he'll be just fine. I love Devin Singletary. I think that was a pick I really like that you made. I think he's one of the best picks of the Bills' backs. He's the guy that they trust the most. They don't trust these other guys. I know it's funny, too, because he hasn't done much other than last week. But, dude, the guy got 11 targets. He's actually, you know what? Now looking at it, dude, all your running backs can't run the ball. They just get a lot of catches. PPR. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's a guy that I think you need to start trading away because it's evident now that this is going to be his last year in Kansas City. He's not getting the job done. Austin Eckler is the biggest shock. I don't know what's going on, but he can't run the ball either. I think both Edwards-Helaire and Eckler are going to play in the committees. I'm more worried about Edwards-Helaire long term. Eckler, I think, is still kind of a playmaker. I think he can, catch the ball and salvage his day then. George Kittle, if he's healthy, he's okay. He's no longer an elite tight end, though, man. Because he's always hurt, and Niners don't throw enough. Biggest nuisance of fantasy football, most annoying player has to go to Devin Duvernay. I don't know what it is with you and these random Ravens receivers that you have every year, but you got the magic touch. But like, this guy doesn't even get a lot of targets, but he scores. Week 1 against the Jets, 4 targets, he got 2 touchdowns. Miami, he had 2 targets but had a return touchdown. I mean, this guy, are you kidding me? He's got to be the most annoying player this year, but he's working for you in your last flex. Mike Gesicki. At the bench, Myers, I think, is okay. Mostert could eventually surpass what's his name? Chase Edmonds. Jameson Williams is on the IR. We'll see how he works in. Bills D is always solid. But Alex, man, I got to give it up to you, man. 3-0, deservedly so, and you came back. There's a lot to like about this team. My biggest concerns moving forward, though, are the Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And it's funny because all your running backs don't run the ball. They just get a bunch of catches. But deservedly so. And I know you're shocked to see yourself not at 1. There's a reason for that, and I'll reveal who number 1 is. I don't know if a lot of people saw this coming, but the number one ranked team, and I got to be honest, deservedly so. He is the only team I think that's close to even projected at 130, and I 110% agree with it. Somehow, some way, man, this kid is a competitor, and you want to doubt this kid all you want. 2 years, he's proven it. Third year, he's proven it. He is a real deal in this league. He's been in the Super Bowl twice. I know he hasn't won it yet. B Magic is deservedly so at number one. Phenomenal job. I'm going to give you a round of applause there because not only am I going to give you a round of applause, you took 3 players that were on everybody's do not draft list that are working out. One, not so much, but there are 2 that have really been a big surprise this year. Your starting roster, there's not one player I hate. If there's one guy I hate, it's Najee Harris. And that's only because I think he does just like he's not a running back 1, he's a running back 2. He's not a first round pick. I was avoiding him like the plague this year. But Nick Chubb, literally, I talked to everybody. This was one running back nobody wanted. And he, to be honest, out of all like the first round running backs, he was the safest one. Can you believe that? It's crazy how fantasy football works sometimes. But we don't even talk about the MVP, Cordero Patterson, the cheat code himself. Unbelievable. Who would have predicted that this guy would have a rejuvenated career in Atlanta of all places? Like, really? That is one guy's jersey I would really want would be a Cordero Patterson jersey, man. He's cool. And I like your receivers. Michael Pittman to go with T. Higgins, great. And Dallas Cowboy favorite of yours, Amari Cooper, has been great. Great the last 2 weeks. And he's getting all the targets, man. He gets Atlanta. Could be a tough matchup. I don't know. Chargers, New England, Baltimore. We'll see. We'll see if it, can continue. But there's a lot to like here. Lots to like. And let's talk about the bench. Some upside. Adam Thielen, I don't like. I'm not a Thielen guy, and he's old. Matt Ryan, you can cut Matt Ryan. Alexander Madison, look, if Cook is out for an extended period of time, dude, you've got another running back on your hands. Treylon Burks. I think my theory on Treylon Burks is I think he could be good. I don't know when that's going to happen. I think he's a second half superstar. Julio Jones, I mean, whatever. Cole Beasley. Wow. Hilarious. Oh, and the Dallas defense. I know that was the first defense off the board, and you were confident in it, and congratulations on Dallas defense. Great job. Great job, B Magic. I don't know what else to say to you, bro, but great, phenomenal job. What I got to say about you, B Magic, you deserve this number 1 spot, dude. Like, because there was a lot of picks I did not want to touch. You had the balls to do it, and it worked out. I think this team is in the playoffs. What division are you in? Oh. Oh, yeah, you are in a tough division, though. Wow, yeah, this is dude. This is a tough one. You're in one of the toughest divisions, but I think you can come away with it. I think it's either you, Alex, or Coffee, but Krier's team's not even that bad. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my end analysis of Power Rankings. Beat Magic. Congratulations. Thank you. All righty. I'm logging into the matchups of the week. I'm finding the first matchup I want to talk about that I think is either going to be A, lopsided or just boring and not really entertaining to watch. And I found, oh, there's a lot we can go with here. Let's go with Alex versus Allen. Allen, not a lot of firepower in the running back department. Matika, I think you got some. Josh Allen or Aaron Rodgers, slam dunk Josh Allen. CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown versus Jamar Chase and Devonta Smith. Well, so this is interesting. Both Philly guys. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are 1-1 with each other. Or actually, well, I don't count week 2 because both of them didn't go off week 2. Week 1, A.J. Brown got the best of Devonta Smith. Then week 3, Devonta Smith got the best of A.J. Brown. Now you go against the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are clearly number 1 and number 2 in the pecking order. But I'm going to start with A.J. Brown, as Harsh would say. CeeDee Lamb, and that leaves CeeDee Lamb versus Jamar Chase. So Jamar Chase, on Thursday night, against the Dolphins. Real wild one here. But then you got CeeDee Lamb. Get home at Washington. Nah, and all jokes aside, I know Xavier Howard is considered a shutdown guy. Jamar Chase is due for a big game. I'm going big on Jamar, and dude, he's whoa. Allen, if he doesn't do anything this week, I'm trading for it. I'm just letting you know, I'm coming knocking out that door, bro. Gonna see how you feel about your boy because he got lost in the sauce last week, bro. Sauce Gardner shut him down. Anyway, CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase? Jamar Chase. He's due. That being said, I'm going to give Allen the benefit of the doubt. Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Austin Eckler, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This to me is easy. Oh, God. No, it's not. Take that back. Breece Hall might look good. Carter won't. Edwards-Helaire definitely won't look good. And then we have Austin Eckler. I like Austin Eckler. A little bit against Houston, baby. I'll take the Alex side just because I think Eckler can put up more than Breece Hall. George Kittle or Hayden Hurst? George Kittle. Singletary and Duvernay versus Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. Whoa. Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave by a mile. By a mile. Look, Allen, I'm just going to flat out say it. Devin Duvernay is going to get 2 catches and catch 1 for a touchdown because he does that every week. Devin Singletary in another shootout could be very sneaky. Pretty sneaky, sir. Garrett Wilson. Allen, I think he's a wide receiver 1. He is the truth in New York. But my issue that I have with Garrett Wilson is how does he have a rapport with Zachary Wilson? That's the biggest question mark. But if you want me to get you hyped, sorry, I'm going to give you a stat. Average yards created after separation in the NFL is 2.4. Garrett Wilson's is 3.67. That's insane. That's up there with the Justin Jeffersons of the world. Garrett Wilson, Allen, what can I get for Garrett Wilson, buddy? Garrett Wilson, what a beast. Hopefully Zach Wilson can feed him the rock. You know who will get fed the rock? Mr. Air Yards himself, Chris Olave. In London, where you have Michael Thomas not healthy. And Jarvis Landry, also not very healthy. I'll give you Chris Olave, getting all those targets. Sorry I'm in pain. I'm still getting over being sick. Oh my God. Sorry. I'm like crying at these air yard numbers, I guess. Miami or Buffalo. Oh, I love Miami, D. Allen. Great call here. Ladies and gentlemen, after quite deliberation, I think this is another trap game alert. My trap game alert last week came true to fruition. It was myself against Harsh. I did not like the matchups going in my favor. As far as Mr. Williams is concerned, you could be put on upset alert, Matika. You know what? I'm feeling dangerous today. We're gonna pull the upset. Allen over Alex Matika. Alex, I know you're saying to yourself, "Are you kidding me?" But I think Chris Olave, Jamar Chase, and Devonta Smith. I think those guys can hit big. And Aaron Rodgers, I think, will do more than what he did last week. So, but then there's Josh Allen, and then no, I'll stick with it. Allen, upset alert. I'm gonna go 128 on the Allen side to Alex Matika's 115. Patrick Leo in danger of going 0-4, and B Magic trying to get another win in the win column. It's going to be a big one. Burrow against Miami or Carr against Denver. Dude, they're evenly matched here. I'm going to go Carr. Has Carr even? Oh, no, he's been good. He's been like, they're like both been the same. They've both been like low to mid 20s. Miami has been in a lot of shootouts though. We'll see if they don't have T Higgins. I don't know if I like Burrow that much though. So I think it's kind of a draw. Metcalf and Mike Evans versus Michael Pittman and T Higgins. Uh, Pittman looks the part. T Higgins, I don't even think he's on the injury report, is he? Wow. Yeah, he is cleared. Oh, it was a toe injury. I thought he got concussed. Yeah, man, don't sleep on T Higgins, man. He's nice. DK Metcalf and Mike Evans. Well, what are we talking about here? So I like how B Magic is going with the T Higgins Joe Burrow. So let me revise that. Joe Burrow I like more than Carr now with T Higgins officially in. So I give the advantage to Patrick. But Michael Pittman and T Higgins versus DK Metcalf and Mike Evans. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are noticing this, but Jeff Okudah apparently is like the new shutdown corner of the league because he shut down Devonta Smith and he shut down Justin Jefferson, which is hard to do. So that could be problematic for DK Metcalf because he didn't do anything against Pat Surtain. And that worries me a little bit. Mike Evans against Kansas City, though, like he could go off. You're going to need him to go off too, Patrick. I'm going to side with Pittman and T. Higgins, though. This is where things get out of hand. Najee Harris and Nick Chubb versus Derrick Henry and Dameon Pierce. It's not even close. Give me Najee Harris and Nick Chubb. Najee Harris against the Jets might struggle on the ground, but he'll do some damage through the air. I think he might get you 10 points. Nick Chubb against Atlanta, that is a recipe for disaster for the Atlanta defense. Nick Chubb, dude, everybody didn't want this guy, and he's proving everybody wrong yet again. He is a safe running back, but I think there's a lot of upside here. I think Chubb goes for 22. Dameon Pierce, I don't think it's going to. The only way Dameon Pierce has a good game is if Herbert looks like crap and the Chargers keep it close with a Houston Texans team, which is viable. I mean, that's definitely on the cards of possibility. And you know how I feel about Derrick Henry. I'm going with the Nick Chubb and Najee Harris side. Darren Waller or Tyler Higbee. Higbee has gotten a lot of targets. He's been a big surprise this year. Where was that last year, Tyler Higbee? Thank you very much. Darren Waller. To me, Darren Waller he has now fallen into the just another tight end category because now you have Adams there. And I already didn't like him with Hunter Renfrow in the beginning. And now Mac Hollins is getting targets. I don't like Darren Waller this year. I mean, he's a nice dude and he's a great rapper, but I don't like it. But like, am I really about to say Tyler Higbee over Darren Waller? As a matter of fact, I am. Tyler Higbee, the lowest amount of targets he's gotten all year. Oh, he fell back down to earth. So this kills my whole argument. Draw. Sorry. I thought he got more targets last week. Amari Cooper and Cordell Patterson in the same game. I like this Atlanta-Cleveland game. This is a fun game to watch. I can't believe I'm saying that. It's an underrated game. Nobody's going to talk about it. Romeo Dobbs and Juju Smith-Schuster. Oh, I hate Juju. Romeo Dobbs. It looked like the truth last week. Aaron Rodgers found his new man. Yeah. So I actually like Romeo Dobbs, but I like Cooper. AJ Terrell was a lockdown monster last year. He has not looked that great this year, though. He really hasn't. I think we can calm ourselves down with the AJ Terrell lockdown corner hype. I think Cooper will be just fine. Cordell Patterson, dude, this guy might be the MVP. Like, he's one of the fantasy MVPs at least. And then we have Dallas defense versus Minnesota. Like the call there, Patrick, but I'm going to side with the Minnesota D because they can create a lot of turnovers. And I don't know, Patrick's listening. He's like, but Jameis Winston's a turnover machine. I know, But like Carson Wentz is the gift that keeps on giving, man. He got sacked 10 times, I think, last week. Patrick, I think you put up a great fight this week, but it's not enough. Be Magic, you get to go 3-1. Harsh, you needed a win to keep that season alive last week, and you got it against me, so congratulations for that. But you're coming off, Andre, on a down week where Cooper Kupp only had like 14 fantasy points for his standards. You don't like to see that. Harsh, I do think that there are some interesting pieces, but still you haven't put up a lot of points, and I think you are going to be the victim of a beatdown by Andre Jones. Tua has to play against Cincinnati. He still has the questionable tag. They're saying it's a back. Yeah, okay. In a shootout against Cincy, I do like it a lot. Kyler Murray against Carolina. Kyler, you know what? It's going to be close. If Tua has both Waddle and Hill active, though, man, give me Tua. I can't believe I'm saying it. Cortland Sutton and Brandon Cooks versus Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams. Okay, here's what's going to happen. Cooper Kupp in prime time, 35 fantasy points. Book it down, Harsh, because you know what's happening. Devontae Adams expressed his frustration. He was very quiet 2 weeks in a row because he's getting outperformed by the god himself, Mac Hollins. Devontae Adams could run into Patrick Surtain too. Patrick Surtain has been a lockdown machine like everybody's expected. He held DK Metcalf to 7 catches, 36 yards because he couldn't run anywhere. He locked down Brandon Cooks, which isn't saying much at this point, but there's a lot of people who still believe in Brandon Cooks, a.k.a. Harsh. And Deebo Samuel did not get any explosive plays. Pat Surtain scares me, buddy. I don't know if this is the week for Devon. If it is, wow. Devontae Adams is back, baby. You know what? I'm going to make a bold statement. I think the Raiders get their first win of the season, and I think they do it because Devontae Adams is going to go beast mode. Devontae Adams is that dude. You heard it here first, baby. Cortland Sutton will be fine against the Raiders, Harsh, but Brandon Cooks, I mean, no. Give me Andre. James Robinson, Javonte Williams, A.J. Dillon, Chase Edmonds. A.J. Dillon is in a positive game script, so I love to see that for you this week, Mr. Jones. Chase Edmonds. No, don't like it. Give me James Robinson and Javonte Williams. Philly's got a good run defense, though, Harsh. I know you're not scared because James Robinson is your man crush. I think you'll get it done. Kyle Pitts or Gerald Everett. Harsh, you ready for this bold take, buddy? Kyle Pitts has a 20-point game this week. Thank me later. Tony Pollard, Khalil Herbert, Tyreek Hill, Tyler Lockett. Tyreek Hill, 25 fantasy points. Book it. That really sucks for you, Harsh, because Tyreek Hill is going to go off. Tyler Lockett. So I said this before. Jeff Okudah is now like the new lockdown guy. He's locked down Devonta Smith. Week 2, I can't even remember who the Lions played. They got their first one. Oh, the Washington football team. They didn't. That game was out of hand. And then Justin Jefferson, dude, he locked him down too. Because of that, if they put him on DK Metcalf, which they probably are, Lockett could have a field day. Harsh, you better pray that Okudah goes on Lockett and they double team Metcalf. Because that could be trouble. Pollard, I mean, he's 10 points because Zeke is still there. That's all he's going to do. Khalil Herbert, if Montgomery is out, yes, he is going to get you 18 fantasy points. Tampa against Kansas City, don't like it. Los Angeles Rams against San Fran. I don't like that one, baby. Here's what it comes down to. Harsh, I actually think that this week might be your highest point total that you've put up so far. I think it's going to be like 118. But I think Andre Jones proves why people were so high on him this year. And I think, spoiler alert, highest scoring team this week. Andre Jones wins in a brutal beatdown, 165 to 117. Well, it's a big show. It's a big, big show now. It is. Johnny J. Fresh Ahern riding high off of almost 50 points every week from Lamar, apparently, versus Paul Percall, who does not have a quarterback. Are you ready? Are you ready? Because I am. Paul, you don't have a quarterback in. Is it going to be Tom Brady against Kansas City? It's going to be Tom Brady against Kansas City. I'm going to flat out tell you that right now. Michael Thomas. Oh, by the way, Lamar will go for 55 fantasy points in a shootout against Buffalo. Paul, you hate to see it, but you just got dealt a bad hand, bro. Michael Thomas, I don't even know if he plays, and Jerry Jeudy against Vegas, I guess, is okay. But I mean, Paul, you're going Terry McLaurin, you're going Tyler Boyd. I don't like either of these guys. God, I hate to say it, draw. I am not big on this receiver matchup, boys. Sorry. Leonard Fournette and Saquon Barkley. Paul, Paul, I'm going to try to give you content because I know you're either on your way to work, you're on your lunch break, or you're making a sandwich for lunch or something. I don't know when you're listening to this. I'll give you a breakdown because I know you love the breakdowns. So I'll try not to go fast forward through this. Leonard Fournette is a workhorse. He is against the Kansas City Chiefs defense that looks okay but not great. Leonard Fournette will get 18 points. Saquon Barkley. Bears defense. How do we feel about the Bears defense? Does anybody here feel great about the Bears defense? Dameon Pierce was a workhorse, and that's a team that can't throw the ball. What are the Giants going to do? Oh, they're at home, too. They're going to say, hey, this team cannot run the football. I mean, can't stop the run. If you give Barkley with a solid matchup, Paul, I know you love Barkley, and I know you're a Giants fan, but this guy's going to run all over the Chicago Bears. But so is Khalil Herbert if he plays. If it's David Montgomery, he won't. So if David Montgomery plays, I think the Giants win. But if he doesn't, you guys are in trouble. We have an injury report. Jonathan Taylor says he's ready to roll. Let me ask you this, though. If he has a toe injury, is this the reason why his fantasy production is down? Paul, that's a big question. And Paul, you are starting Kareem Hunt. I think the only reason why you're doing that is if Keenan Allen can't go yet again. Paul, I'm sorry, slam dunk. Got to give it to Leonard Fournette and Saquon Barkley. So right now, Johnny's got the advantage in quarterback, and he's got the advantage in running back. Tight end, Dalton Schultz with Travis Kelce. Paul, congratulations on the advantage on that one. We really need to go in depth on this one. Dalton Schultz, even if he plays, he's catching passes from Cooper Rush. Travis Kelce against Tampa Bay is catching passes from Patrice Mahomes. Debo and Jeff Wilson in a I don't know if it's a shootout, but I think that both these guys are going to have good games, and I trust them over Allen Lazard definitely. I don't know about Isaiah McKenzie. McKenzie's in a shootout, guys, and if Gabe Davis isn't 100%, Johnny, that $31 that you just spent, bro, you're going to put it to good use with Mr. McKenzie. But the only thing is, I don't think he's not a cheat code anymore because the return yards, bitch. But I do like Debo and I like Jeff Wilson, and therefore I will go with the Niners, boys. Green Bay Packers against New England. Oh, Paul. You're not going to like that. Packers defense has looked decent against teams that aren't that good, and New England is not a good team. They are a very bad team, in fact. New York Giants, are they a good team? Anybody? No. But they play a Bears defense or a Bears offense doesn't. Oh, and by the way, they play a Bears offense that doesn't even throw the ball that much, and when they do, they're not going to throw it again. They don't trust Justin Fields. I love it. I don't even love it. I feel bad for the guy. All right, time to pick a winner. Honestly, dude, Paul, I could go in depth, but the X factor here is Lamar Jackson has covered Johnny's ass for the lack of receivers that he has on his team. And dude, this is a shootout type atmosphere. Paul, would it shock me that Jerry Jeudy and Alan Lazard combined for 10 points? No. Would it shock me that Lamar can make up for it with a 50 points? No. Paul, the problem, like we talked about when I broke down your team in the power rankings, I think you have decent, not great players though. I don't hate these guys, but McLaurin has not gone off yet. Taylor has done it once, and now he has a toe injury, so I'm a little worried about that. And Travis Kelce has been, for his standards, has been, I guess, okay, but like, I don't know if you have the insurance to cover Lamar's outburst, bro. There's not a lot of explosive firepower here. If it's coming from one guy, though, Paul, Deebo Samuel needs to be unleashed with Jimmy Garoppolo because he does very well against the Los Angeles Rams. Are we good? Ladies, gentlemen, are we good? I think we are. Jonathan wins. The final score will be, are you ready? 127, Jonathan, to Paul's 105. This is an interesting matchup because I do think that there are a lot of blowout or shootout potentials in both of these players on both teams. Um, the projections are low, but I honestly don't know why. First and foremost, Justin Herbert's health. Okay. How is it? Is it going to get better? When can we expect Justin Herbert to be a beast? I wish I knew. I really wish I knew. Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert, they're gonna clash with each other. And I like the Hurts side a lot better just because I don't know about Herbert's status. Mike Williams, Rashad Bateman, Stephon Diggs, and Deontay Johnson. Okay. There's one man who terrifies the crap out of me, and you have two men, and they terrify me because they're in a shootout together, which never bodes well for me. Stephon Diggs, yeah, that guy's gonna go off against the Ravens secondary that can't even cover Devontae Parker of all people, right? Funny. Diggs, I would expect if Stephon Diggs did not break over 20 points this week, I'd be shocked. Like, I don't really need to go in depth on this. That secondary cannot cover anybody at all. I mean, the Jets were limited, but I mean, it's the Jets. Deontay Johnson, this is an interesting one because Sauce Gardner has been locking down people, and there are a lot of people who think they're going to line him up against Deontay Johnson, but I think that they move him around enough where he's not going to be permanently on Deontay Johnson. But Deontay Johnson will get his 12 points a week. That's what he does. My side of the ball, Mike Williams. Well, if Keenan Allen is back, I don't know how he's going to look without Keenan Allen. He has not been what I expected. He has a 20-point game. We'll see how things go from there. Rashad Bateman, if I'm predicting this game to shoot out and the Bills' secondary is already depleted, I do like Rashad Bateman. My bold take is that I think he has a big game this week. I would be very shocked if he didn't. Like, if he didn't have a big game, that's not good for me because that means that Lamar probably had like 5 touchdowns and 4 went to Mark Andrews. It could happen. But Bateman is my hot take of the week. Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, Mr. Hip Thrusting himself, versus Joe Mixon and James Conner. Pause this in a second. All right. So I'm back on my train of thought. I like Jones against New England. Aaron Jones, that is. Running back wise, I think this is a game where I think they can be up. They're going to find some running room. My only thing is I don't know if he's going to get the touchdowns or A.J. Dillon, but I do think yardage-wise he'll be just fine. Jamal Williams, Mr. Hip Thrusting himself against Seattle. Love that matchup. James Conner against Carolina. So Carolina last 2 weeks has been good against the run. The Cardinals don't even run that well anyway, but I've seen stranger things happen. Who knows? Joe Mixon has been a little bit of a disappointment. He plays Thursday night. We'll see how that goes, too. I will lean my side for Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams because I do like the matchups for both of them. Mark Andrews. Okay, speaking of a guy who terrifies me, it's Mark Andrews. The guy, I guess this year, every time he's on the field, has 2 touchdown. Dude, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, he is officially the tight end 1 in fantasy. Move over Travis Kelce. It's not even close at this point anymore. I highly doubt Buffalo can contain him without any corners and safeties. I know Tyreek Hill was limited last week, but make no mistake about it, Mark Andrews is a baller. Drake London and Christian Kirk versus Darrell Henderson and Damian Harris. I'm leaning towards the Kirk and London side. They're both being used as wide receiver 1s. New England against Green Bay or Denver against Las Vegas. Denver, I had to get back again after I dropped them. If I kept them, I would be at 3-0. That's the funny thing about it. But I don't even know if I like them that much against Vegas. Denver's a very overrated team. New England against Green Bay. New England's got a good defense. They had 4 sacks, so they get to the quarterback at least, but I'm not big on it. Bottom line is this. as I'm actually just as I'm recording this now, uh, Herbert is officially listed on the injury report. We'll see how that goes. Um, both teams looking to rebound off of low scoring weeks, and I think both will. I think the highest scoring player that's not a quarterback this week, I think it's going to be Stephon Diggs. I mean, I'm very nervous about how many points this guy's going to put up against me because he literally is going to go off. That's the X factor for this one, man. I'm very nervous about that. Jamal Williams without the DeAndre Swift, if he gets the full workload, I think all systems go there too as well. Jalen Hurts got to play like an MVP. David, I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. I am looking forward to it. I don't know our history between each other that much, um, but I think it's going to be a fun matchup yet again. So, best of luck to you. So I guess based default by matchups, I I read this wrong by accident. I thought it was Coffey against Matika, but it looks like it's Coffey against David Sutton. I'll put it as the matchup of the week, and I think by default it might have to be because I think it's the only two teams that are playing against each other with winning records. So by that logic, yeah, I guess this is the matchup of the week. So funny how we got here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Okay, so Rob Coffey allowed Paul to beat him by not even putting up over, I think, 80. I forgot. It was low scoring. That's all I know. Patrick Mahomes against Tampa Bay versus Matthew Stafford against San Francisco. Well, let's. I think Mahomes is still a quarterback one, but I don't know if we're going to have a lot of those 30-point plus performances. He doesn't have anybody that can stretch the field. The guys that are fast can't beat press coverage, aka MVS. You got to wonder, when are we going to see Sky Moore? Juju is not cutting it. Travis Kelce cannot do everything by himself. Something's got to give here. I'm a little bit on the caution level with Mahomes. I think he's fine. His floor is literally like 22 points. Like, that's worst case scenario. And then David Sutton has Matthew Stafford, who I do not like. Okay, Matt Stafford. I mean, first and foremost, there are two quarterbacks who I won't name because I don't want to give you an advantage, and I don't do that. Two quarterbacks in free agency that I would start over Matt Stafford this week. Uh, Obviously, I'm going Mahomes, but I don't think it's a 30-point performance in this one. If it is, I'd be shocked. Justin Jefferson, who has been shut down the last 2 weeks against Jeff Okuda and Big Play Slay. Jalen Waddle, who should be ready for Thursday night versus Gabe Davis and Marquise Brown. Well, good news for you, Coffee. Marshawn Lattimore is going to be on Justin Jefferson. Why am I saying that's good news? Because Lattimore, I don't believe, is a very good corner. For those of you who think that is a shocker, it shouldn't be. I have not been the biggest Lattimore supporter unless he's against Mike Evans, really. Lattimore does get burnt over the top, and if you're going to tell me 3 weeks in a row Justin Jefferson is going to get shut out, wow, I think we have a problem here. I mean, I can understand Big Play Slay. Jeff Okuda, I mean, we've only had a 3-game sample size of him locking down people, but there's a clip of him throwing Justin Jefferson off of press coverage. That was insane. But now you're telling me that Justin Jefferson is going to go 3 games in a row locked down? I don't think so. The other thing is the people that were anti Justin Jefferson, who I was never one of them, are saying that this guy is just so great against zone coverage that he's meh against. Get out of here. He just got 2 lockdown corners who are very good at man. It has nothing to do with him not being good against man coverage. That is just a stupid statement. Justin Jefferson, I think, he's due to go off, dude. I'm sorry. If this guy gets shut down again, I'd be shocked. Jalen Waddle, Coffee, I think that's easily your favorite pick of the draft right now. He's got a safe floor, and he's got some built-in upside this year against Cincinnati, whose secondary is not very good. Sign me up for some Jalen Waddle. Gabe Davis. The ankle injury concerns me. I mentioned this in the Power Rankings podcast. I'm not big on Gabe Davis. Marquise Brown starting to get the targets, but Carolina against J.C. Horn is not a matchup I really want to be a part of. But then you look at what Chris Olave did. Could Marquise Brown do the same thing? Probably. Probably. So who am I taking the Jefferson side? Etienne and Moss versus McCaffrey or Kamara? Okay, David, you know I'm not big on Kamara, and you know I'm not big on McCaffrey, but like I am not going to go that hate-based and pick Etienne and Moss because I do think that Etienne scores his highest points of the season because I think this is the first game ever where Jacksonville might be behind by a lot, so they're going to have to be in pass-happy mode. I think Etienne actually gets 10 points, but McCaffrey and Kamara will do what they need to do. David Njoku and Dallas Goedert. This is actually more even than you think. I'm actually going to side Njoku. I like the matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. The Browns they're coming off a mini bye as well because they've had that Thursday night victory against who did they beat? Pittsburgh. They could also win against Atlanta, although Atlanta is a very competitive team. I do not know where is this game. Oh, it's at Atlanta. It's in a dome. Njoku might be on the breakout that we've all wanted to. If he doesn't get it done here, then it's again we fell victim to a flash in the pan from David Njoku. Dallas Goedert. I think he was so good, but like it's clear that he's third in the pecking order in targets. Um, I really can't get excited about Dallas Goedert. I was excited about him earlier in this year, but will this be the first game he scores a touchdown? I mean, he had 6 targets against Minnesota. He had 4 targets against Washington, and he had 4 targets against Detroit, which means he's like literally the tier above just another tight end. Like he's not getting the workload and he's not scoring. So it's hard for me to put trust in Dallas Goedert. I'll actually go David Njoku on this one. Amon-Ra St. Brown, who we'll see on the ankle. He looked amazing before that injury, though. Brandon Ayuk against the Rams could be an interesting call. Miles Sanders against Jacksonville. Sanders has gotten the bulk of the carries, man. That is one thing I won't take away from him. Even if they're going to mix other guys in, he's still the lead guy. Allen Robinson, I'm not big on Coffey. I don't think he does anything. Amon-Ra St. Brown, though, could probably outscore Brandon Ayuk and Miles Sanders. But we don't know about how severe this ankle injury is. St. Brown has just been money. And then we have Pittsburgh D versus Philly D. Philly D has been tremendous this year. 5 points against Detroit. Obviously not tremendous enough, but 16 against Minnesota, 23 against Washington. They bring the pass rush. Lawrence, I could see getting sacked a lot in this game. Lawrence does have some mobility in his game. That is good. But then we talk about Pittsburgh at home against the New York Jets. And this is the last time they're going to be used for a while because I'm looking at their schedule. They are not that good. It's Zach Wilson. He is a little bit turnover prone, and they do have the crowd behind him. Who knows? I'll go with the Pittsburgh side. I do think that the Eagles will win, and I do think they'll get some sacks, but I do think there's more turnover prone opportunities from the Pittsburgh defensive side than the Philadelphia side. And with that being said, I think this is a wrap. As much as I think McCaffrey and Kamara can outscore Etienne and Moss, I do think that Jefferson and Waddle have huge games. I think that Mahomes will be just fine. Amon-Ra St. Brown, we'll see how he progresses over the week. If the guy is just getting in limited practices, I'm going to temper my expectations with him. But honestly, on the David side of things, Gabe Davis